Look at those colors, how beautiful they are. Super bright. At first I was not a big fan of that yellow and orange and how it married together with that pink. It's just, it took me a little bit, but as you see it hanging and the drape of it and how it looks when it's hanging and being worn, it looks really pretty, particularly with denim jacket and white t-shirt. Look how pretty that is. So let's talk a bit about the size of the cowl. So it is 20 rows, 120 foundation chain. Now, crocheted in the round, and I'll show you some tips and tricks of that here in just a little bit and how to make the stitch. But the height of the cowl, it's 10 inches, and then the length as it lays out flat is 19 inches. Now I made another one with a different crochet hook, and with a smaller crochet hook, and it actually crocheted up a little bit smaller. It was still 10 inches high. I did an extra round of it to make sure I kept that 10 inches because I like the bigger cowl. But it was 16 inches in width. So it all depends on your tension, your yarn, and your hook that you're using, the sizing of that cowl. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what you need to make the project. It's just one skein of yarn, and we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to make it. These are the items that we'll need for our project today. I've got some Red Heart Roll With It Tweed yarn, real pretty and bright. The color on this yarn is, and the name of it is Party Mix. And let me show you the front of the packaging. It's Red Heart Roll With It Tweed. It's 100% acrylic, 296 yards per skein. I'm only going to use one of these skeins. And let's get back here and look at the weight and the size of the yarn. It's a medium 4-weight yarn. The crochet hook that it calls for is a size I9 5.5 millimeter hook. I'm actually going to take a step up in size on the hook. I'm going to use a size J 5.75 millimeter. I want my stitches to be just a little bit looser, and I want the since it's a cowl, I want it to hang a little, the drape on it to be really nice. So I'm going to go up in size. I've got a plastic yarn needle. I have a couple of stitch markers or row markers, whatever you want to call those, and I have some scissors, and that's it. Let's get started, and I'll show you how to make this cowl. All right, the first thing that we're going to do is make a slip knot. So I like to take the yarn, wrap it around my fingers, and take this tail and push it right behind the yarn that's there on my fingers. Grab that little piece of yarn, pull it tight, and I like to have a pretty good yarn tail so I can sew it in. And then I just put that slip knot right on my crochet hook. I don't go really tight with it so that you can slide it up and down on the crochet hook easily. Now we're going to crochet in the round. We're going to do 120 chains and connect that and make it one big circle, and we're going to crochet in the round. I'm going to show you an easy trick. One of the things when you're crocheting in the round, when you're making your foundation chain, you don't want that foundation chain to get twisted. So this is a trick I'm going to show you to keep it from getting twisted, and we can have a nice pretty finish on the bottom of our project when we're done. So we're going to chain 5 to start out. So put your hook underneath, pull it through the loop that's on your hook. That's a chain. So you yarn over, pull it through the loop that's on your hook. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right there I'm going to stop. I'm going to pull it up just a little bit, take my hook out, and this is the front of your chain. You see how the V's are on your stitching of your chains you've made? If you turn it around to the back, you see these bumps on the back right here. So a chain has 3 pieces of yarn. You've got 2 on the front where it looks like a V, and then you got this bump on the back. Okay, so what we're going to do when we get to the end of our 120 chains, we're going to do a slip stitch to slip stitch them together, and it's going to make a big loop, and you'll see that here in just a few minutes. But what I want you to do is, this is your front of your chain. Take your crochet hook, and that first chain, you're going to go from behind and you're going to stick it through that first chain. Okay, that's the front. Now you're going to put that loop back on the hook where you pulled it out just a minute ago. We're going to pull it just a little bit tight. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. This one is the very first chain. See, and there's your 5 chains you made. And this is the loop of yarn that was on your hook just a moment ago when we took it off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to chain, but we're going to just chain through here and leave this. This is your very first. So when we get to our 120 chains in the end, you'll just be able to quickly slip stitch, and you don't have to worry about laying your foundation chain out, getting it untwisted. It stays perfect for you in the end. So we've made 5 chains already, and we're just going to continue to go. Yarn over and pull it through the first loop on your hook, and this is just staying there. Yarn over, pull it through the first loop on your hook. That's 7, 8, 9, 10. And you see how your chain's growing? And this first chain is just staying at the end of your crochet hook here. And as your chain continues to grow, it's going to stay straight without getting twisted. Okay, so go ahead and keep going until you get to 120 chains. See you back here in just a moment. All right, that's 120. So now you can see your long chain. It's laid out here, and it's easily able to connect the ends because your first chain is already on your hook, and then the last chain is right here on the end, and you've already finished it. So all you need to do is take this loop that's on your hook and pull it right through that second chain on your hook. Now they're connected by a slip stitch. All right, so now what we're going to do to close it off is we're going to chain 1. So yarn over and pull it through the loop that's on your hook. That's a chain 1. Now it's connected. Now your front of your chain is nice and straight. It's not twisted. And it's connected to the other end. Super easy and quick. My little fail-safe method that I always used. So for this entire row, we're going to crochet in the back loop of our chain. And as I said earlier, this is the front of your chain. You can see the V's right here on your chain. If you turn it over, there's a bump or a ridge on the back. You see that right here? Let me get my needle and you can easily see what I'm talking about. You see right here, these are these ridges right here. That's the bumps on the back. You're going to put your hook through this bump here, where there's one piece of loop of yarn on your hook, and on the other side is the V. So you're going to crochet through the back bump, and it's going to give a really pretty finish to the bottom of your cowl. All right. So now that you know that we're going to crochet into the back bump, let's talk about the stitch pattern. Now we're going to do a single crochet. Now here's where our chain is that we just did. Now we're going to go into this next stitch, this bump here. We're going to do a single crochet. We've already chained 1. Let me get my yarn fixed here. Now we're going to yarn over and pull it through that bump of that foundation, and we're going to do a single crochet. Oops, it came off my hook. There. So single crochet. Now I'm going to mark that stitch. Right here is the stitch I just finished. I'm going to put this row marker right through the top of that stitch, and you can see there's looks like a V right here. I'm going to put it through the top of it, so when we come back around, that's where we're going to end our first row. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it now, and I'm going to use the stitch marker throughout the entire project to help mark where I start and finish my rows, so that we can easily join them when we finish the next row. Okay, now I'm going to chain 3. So chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3. Now I'm going to double crochet 4 together over the next 4 chains. So in this back bump here, see the next 4 bumps? We're going to take our yarn over, go in to that bump, see right here, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops. There's 2 loops of yarn on my hook. Now I'm going to take my crochet hook, yarn over, go into the next bump, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops on my hook. I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, go into the next bump, yarn over and pull it through. I'm going to yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops on my hook. Now I have 4 loops on my hook. Yarn over, go into the next bump, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops of yarn on my hook. Now I have 5 loops of yarn on my hook. This first is from the chain 3, and then the next 4 are for the 4 double crochets that I started. Now what I'm going to do is yarn over. I'm going to pull that piece of yarn all the way through all 5 loops on my hook. That's pulling those 4 double crochets together. So double crochet 4 together. Now to end that stitch, I'm going to do a chain, and that closes off that 4 double crochet. Now I'm going to go into the next bump. That's my last double crochet that I just did there for the 4 together. I'm going to the next bump, and I'm going to do a single crochet. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to do 4 double crochets, double crochet 4 together. So just like I just did, I'm going to yarn over, go into the next bump, yarn over and pull it through, and yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops. I'm going to go in, yarn over and go into the next bump, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops. Now I have 3 loops of yarn on my hook. Yarn over, go into the next bump, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops of yarn on my hook. I should have 4 loops of yarn on my hook. Now I'm going to yarn over, go into the next bump, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops on my hook. I should have 5 loops of yarn on my hook. This one is for the chain 3 that I did, and then 4 more for the double crochets that I started. Now I'm going to yarn over, pull that loop of yarn through all 5 loops of yarn on my hook, and what that does, like I said earlier, is pulls those double crochets together. So you have double crochet 4 together. You're going to yarn over and pull it through, and that's a chain to close off that stitch. So your repeating pattern on this first row is your single crochet, then you chain 3, and then in the next 4 bumps you do double crochet 4 together. And as you're doing it, you're just making sure your foundation chain just lays out flat, nice and neat, and you're going into the back bumps of that foundation. So I'll do one more with you. This will be the repeating pattern that you use for row 1 all the way around your foundation as you're crocheting in the round. The first step of your repeating pattern is the single crochet. So go into the next bump of the foundation, put your hook through there, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through both loops on your hook. That's a single crochet. Now you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to do a double crochet 4 together. So I'm going to yarn over and go into the next foundation chain, that bump on the back of it. Put my hook through there, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops. That's the start of my first double crochet. Now I'm going to start my second one, yarn over and go through the next bump, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the next 2 loops. Now I'm going to start my third double crochet. So yarn over and go into the next foundation chain, that bump. Yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the next 2 loops. I have 4 chains on my hook. Now this is my last one. So yarn over and go into the next foundation chain. This will be the 4th one. yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops. So there's 5 loops of yarn on your hook, your chain 3, and then your 4 double crochets that you started. Now we're going to finish off those double crochets and pull them together. So yarn over and go through all 5 loops of yarn on your hook. And now you're going to do a chain. So yarn over and pull it through the loop of yarn on your hook, and you chained and close that off. So that's your repeating stitch throughout. And then you make your way all the way around your foundation chain that you made. And when you get back around here to where you started, come back and I'll show you how to slip stitch those together and start round 2. Now I've made my last double crochet 4 together. I'm back all the way to where I started. See, here's my stitch marker. And right there where my stitch marker is, I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to do a slip stitch. So let me remove that stitch marker. And what I do is I like to put my fingers there and hold that space and that yarn where I take that stitch marker out. I put my hook through the top of that stitch and go right into that stitch. It was a single crochet, and there should be 2 loops of yarn right there where I went through that stitch on my hook. And so now I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull the yarn through that stitch, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull it through the other loop of yarn that's on my hook. I should have 1 loop of yarn left. And what I did is I closed off row 1 where it went all the way around. All right, now we're about to start row 2. In row 2, once you get a hold of understanding how to do row 2's stitch pattern, then that's the same stitch pattern that you're going to use throughout the entire project. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn our work and we're going to go back the other way that we just came. So we're going to just turn our work and go back this other direction. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and that closes off and starts that first stitch for row 2. So chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet into the top of this double crochet 4 together stitch. So right here, let me get up close to the camera so you can see it. And these colors are a little hard to see. Let me go over here to this blue. That might be a little bit better. I think it is. So where we're going to put our stitch in the top of this double crochet 4 together, you see where your 4 double crochets are? And right there is where we joined them together and do the chain. When we put those double crochets together, you see there's the 2 loops up here, and right there is where we're going to put our hook when we do our single crochet into that stitch. Right here is the space in between the single crochet and the double crochet 4 together is here, but right here is the stitch right in the top of that double crochet 4 together. Right there. All right, now we did our chain. Now we're going to put a single crochet right there in the top of that double crochet 4 together on the row beneath. So we're going to put our hook right into that space, yarn over and pull it through, and yarn over and pull it through. So we did a single crochet. So right the top of that single crochet, I'm going to mark that stitch, because when we come back around, that's where we'll end it with a slip stitch. Mark it with my row marker. Now we're going to chain 3. So we did single crochet, chain 3. Now we're going to put double crochet 4 together, but we're going to put them all in this chain space. See this space right here where my finger's going through? We're going to crochet right into that space. On row 1, we did it into the foundation chain. But now going forward throughout the rest of the project, we're going to do our double crochets 4 together in this space. So we're going to yarn over, go into the space, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops. Yarn over, go into the space, yarn over, pull it through the first 2 loops. You have 3 on your hook. Yarn over, go into that space, yarn over and pull the yarn back through, yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops on your hook. Now you have 4 on your hook. Yarn over, go into the chain space, yarn over and pull it through, and yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops on your hook. You should have 5 loops of yarn on your hook, just like you did for the row 1, except you're doing it all in this chain space. So yarn over and pull it through all 5 loops, and that's your double crochet 4 together. You're going to chain 1 and close it off. And that's your repeating pattern throughout the entire project. So next we're going to do a single crochet into this next double crochet together below in the row 1. Go right into that and do a single crochet. We're going to chain 3, and we're going to double crochet 4 together in this chain space. So there's 1, and then there's 2, and there's 3, and then there's 4. So there's 5 loops of yarn on my hook. 1 for the chain 3, and then 4 loops of yarn for the double crochets that we started. Now we're going to yarn over and pull it through all 5 loops on our hook, chain and close it off, and that's our repeating pattern throughout the entire project. You're going to go all the way around, and when you get to the end, back to this row marker where we started, stop. I'll show you how to finish off, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about the project, but that's our repeating stitch throughout the entire thing. And you're going to make a total of 20 rows. So now we're on row 2. You're going to make 20 rows of that, and then we'll fasten off. So see you back here in just a few minutes when you get finished with round 2, and I'll talk to you in just a moment. Now we're at the end of row 2. I just did my 4 double crochets, 4 together. I'm back to where I did my single crochet when I started the round. So when you do your 4 double crochets together, that means you're about to start a new stitch pattern. Remember, we do our single crochet, chain 3, double crochet, single crochet, chain 3, double crochet 4 together. And now if we were going to continue to go, we would start again single crochet. But since we're all the way back, we're back to where we started our single crochet. So to end this round, we're going to just do a slip stitch right in the top of that single crochet that we started with at the beginning of round 2. So go right into where that stitch marker was at the top of that single crochet, put your hook through there, yarn over and pull it through, and then take that loop of yarn you just pulled through and pull it through the other loop on your hook. And that closes off round 2. To do round 3, all you're going to do, instead of continuing to crochet this way, you're going to turn your work and you're going to go back the way you just came. You're going to go back the other way. Where's my... Oh, here it is. And then all you would do to start row 3, is chain 1, and then you just go this other way. You'll start a single crochet in the top of this double crochet 4 together cluster there. Go right into it. Do your single crochet. I'm going to take my stitch marker and mark the top of that single crochet that I just made. And then you're going to continue on and continue all the way around. The same stitch pattern that you did for row 2, you're going to do throughout the entire project. So when you get finished with 20 rows, come back. I'll show you how to fasten off, and then we'll celebrate the completion of our project of our tilted cluster cowl. Now I'm down to my last stitch, and here's my row marker where I started off my first stitch of this row. Let me take that out. So I did my last stitch. Now I'm going to do a slip stitch right into this single crochet where I started the round off. So I'm going to take my hook, go right into that stitch, pull the yarn through, yarn over and pull it through, and then I'm going to take that yarn and pull it right through the loop of yarn on my hook. I'm going to take my scissors and cut a pretty good size yarn tail, about 6 or 7 inches. I'm going to just yarn over and pull that yarn all the way through the loop of yarn that's on my hook. And then I'm just going to pull it tight and close that off. And then this yarn tail, I'm going to use my yarn needle and I'm going to just sew this in. If you don't have a yarn needle, all you need to do is take your crochet hook and you can just take that yarn and you can pull it through those stitches and hide that loop of yarn throughout your work. Just as if you had a yarn needle, you can just do that easily. You don't have to have a yarn needle, but it just makes it so much easier to do that. So now we're done. We're finished with our project. And thanks for tuning in to the Crafty Yarn Barn. We'll see you soon, and be on the lookout for new projects coming your way. Have a great day.